All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to another one of my monthly marketing sessions. I am so excited today to have Penny Peerboom and her Dreamweaver module. Oh, I should have played the music.
I know, we should have played the music.
Ah, darn it. I wouldn't even think about it.
Forgot.
At my abundance retreat, Penny spoke and did this, a version of it, and I played in the background, Dreamweaver, the song. It was so good. So, anyway, that's what we're here today. Some people have big dreams, and that's just it. They stay dreams. And what I love about what Penny is about to teach is how to be a dream weaver and make your dreams actually come true. So, thank you, Penny, so much for today. And if you're watching the recording, thank you so much for joining us. And I will put any details that Penny shares with us in the details down below on YouTube. So, thank you so much, Penny. Have at it.
Great. Thank you so much. You guys, I'm so excited to share this with you. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to invest in yourself and your dreams. And what I'm about to share with you is just a plethora of insight, strategy, reflection that will serve you whether you're still dreaming or perhaps you've lost your desire to dream or you're already living the dream and you're ready for the next level or the next version of it. So grab your notebook and settle in. And if something really lands and you want to go deeper, just let me know. I'll share with you at the end how to connect with me one-on-one afterwards. So this transformational course is something I've been working on for a long time. You might say I've been working on it my entire adult life because it's the culmination of years of education, personal growth, professional experience, spiritual guidance, and all the lessons I learned along the way. It's a reflection of the journey I've taken and continue to take as I bring my next dream to life and begin shaping the legacy I want to leave in people. And the objective here is to spark something powerful in you too. So let's jump in and get started. So if the journey to your dream life had a triptych, this course would be the tool to create it. And you're probably thinking, triptych? What is she talking about, triptych? Triptych, yeah. If any of you recognize this, this is from my childhood, like this is from like the 70s. This is pre-GPS. The triptych was this flip style travel guide from AAA. You probably have never seen, who has seen this? Has anyone know what I'm talking about? Okay, just imagine pre-GPS. And I can still remember when GPS first started replacing paper maps, and my father-in-law would just say, like, well, why can't you just use a map? He couldn't understand how GPS was going to change our world. And it did, right? But back then, that was our GPS, and it was exciting, right? Every time we'd go on a trip, we'd get one of these, and it was exciting for a 10-year-old. You know, I was 10, and I'm pretty sure my parents liked it too because we never went on a road trip without one. You would flip through it as you prepped for your big adventure, and it was customized just for you. Your route was carefully highlighted, the key stops were noted, and there were fun little alerts throughout the book that would say things like scenic overlook ahead or beware of boredom between mile markers 72 and 143. So it was the OG GPS, except in printed copy, spiral bound and 100% charming. I mean,
I love it. I want one of these now.
I
Like,
know, I do too. I want to start. You can actually get one. I vividly remember clutching to it in the back seat of our car
oh,
as we made our way from New York to Texas in 1977. So it was like a treasure map, and each page flipping us closer to a new state, a new adventure, and eventually a new home. So you can actually, they do still make them. You could go on the AAA website and you can order one. If you're nostalgic, go to the AAA website. They still make them. And there's even a digital format. But man, like, do you ever think about like what if you were on this long road trip and you had no GPS or your phone quit working? So I love the triptych. And so this is what Dreamweaver is all about. It's a triptych for the journey of making your dream a reality. Um, One intention, one decision, one bold step at a time. So by the end of the course that I've created, you'll have a fully personalized, purpose driven roadmap, but it's more than a roadmap, a real travel guide created by you with clarity and purpose. So, but first, let's talk about where the journey begins. Not just your journey, but mine too, because before Dreamweaver became a course, a framework, or the foundation of my coaching business, it was my lifeline. It was born from my own season of feeling lost, overextended, and unsure of how all the pieces of my passion and purpose were going to fit together. And I didn't sit down one day and just started writing it. Um, didn't just wake up one day and voila. I lived it. I actually stumbled through it. I questioned everything. I rewrote the rules, and I had to get painfully honest about what I truly wanted along the way. I started to see a pattern and a rhythm, something I could follow and eventually teach. And so, this isn't a course I created for others, it's the actual framework that helped me get back in the driver's seat of my own life. And before we dive into the actual Dreamweaver journey, let me take you back to the winding road that led me here. So I spent the better part of my adult life from the age of 27 to 43 as a Navy spouse, helping my now ex-husband build his military career, his dreams, deployments, moves, raising three kids, often on my own. As you can imagine, it was challenging. And my ambition and drive, well, it didn't disappear, but it did go on the back burner. And my focus was on my family, and I gave those years everything I had. And it was hard, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. It made me who I am. And then at the age of 43, as my husband's military retirement approached, I finally saw an open door to pursue a career of my own. I was excited, but honestly, I didn't feel confident. After more than a decade out of the traditional workforce, I wasn't sure I was even employable. So I chose something safe. I chose to become a teacher, and I enrolled in graduate school to prepare. After all, teaching is a profession that's always in demand, right? I was looking for something steady, respectable, and above all, certain. I was certain that I would get a job as a teacher. And here's something I want you to notice that even after burying my dream for over 25 years, when I finally had the chance to chase it, I chose safety. Oops, sorry about that. Got to turn that off. I thought I was finally on the fast track to my second act, but guess what? God had other plans, thank goodness.
Is
Budget
that you in
cuts.
that picture, or is that just a stock
Yeah,
picture?
I'm at the very, right here,
Yeah, I
at the
thought
very
so.
end. Yep, that was in 2009.
Wow.
So, budget cuts. We moved to Texas and there were budget cuts sweeping through the education system, and hiring came to a standstill. Suddenly, I found myself staring down a job market that wasn't hiring and a resume with a very long gap to explain. These gaps in the resume, they used to be a big deal. They're not such a big deal anymore, but back when I was in HR, they were a big deal. And the idea of starting at the bottom somewhere and working under someone who would stifle my drive and ambition made me cringe. I didn't have time to climb up the corporate ladder. I was already 43 years old. So I decided to pursue a career in real estate. I had no idea it would lead to coaching, but God knew. And here's something else I want you to notice. I'm an action taker. It took me just 2 months to finish all of my coursework and get my real estate license. I don't know. I think that's a record, right? I don't know. If I could have done it any quicker, I would have. I was certain that real estate was going to be a great gig. I didn't just learn how to become a top producing realtor, I found a company that valued leadership, growth, and people development, much like Epic does. And that's where I truly fell in love with coaching, with watching other people come alive, and with helping others rise. I became a growth junkie. You can ask Dawn. I went to
Hey, I'm
every
right there with
training.
you, girl.
Yeah, and she was right there with me, obsessed with learning, evolving, pushing my limits. I earned my certification from the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching. I joined the John Maxwell team. I completed Brendan Burchard's High Performance Academy. I became a certified high performance coach and a Brian Buffini mentor. So every step deepened my purpose and sharpened the tools I now use to help others rise. So
Mm.
I spent years, 14 to be exact, seeking certainty. Before I became a coach, I wanted to be certain that this was going to be that this was going to work, that I was good enough, that my path was the right one, that success was guaranteed before I took the first step. 14 years, 14 years it took me. So for the time being, I decided, you know what? I'm going to stick to real estate. You guys, right? From 2012 to 2020 till now, it's been a seller's market. It's been crazy. All we kept hearing was like, oh, the market's going to shift, the market's going to shift. But for nearly, I'd say it's been 13 years, but for 12 of those years, it was a great real estate market. And now it's still great. It's just a little challenging. We just need a different approach, is all it is. People are always going to be buying and selling real estate. So, but back when I turned 50, I had every reason to be completely content, right? I had built a thriving real estate career that I was really proud of. I was living in my dream home, surrounded by breathtaking landscaping that brought me peace each morning. My children were flourishing and heading off to college. From the outside, life looked pretty good. And in many ways, it really was. But I'll never forget one afternoon when my family came to visit, sitting on the back porch, my father, beaming with pride, called out to my yaya. Yaya is the Greek word for grandmother. That's what I'm going to be called in just a month. My daughter's having her first baby. Um, so Yaya came, and my dad said, "Aren't you proud of your granddaughter?" And you know what? There she was. Like, this is the exact picture. She was crocheting. She barely glanced up and said, you could have had a third of this and given the rest to the poor. Like, oh man, that, that moment never left me to this day. Not as a source of shame, but as a compass. Her words continue to guide how I measure success and practice generosity even now. And so this picture of my dream home backyard was actually taken when I put my house up for sale. Yeah, that's why it looks so nice, right? Because Eric Fossum does a great job. Yep, when I put the house up for sale right after I found out I was going to be getting a divorce at the age of 52. I finally had certainty. Mm-hmm. In January of 2018, I was certain I would be launching my coaching business that year, 2018. By August, I'm sorry, I would be launching my coaching business in August. And in June, it all fell apart. Here I was praying for wisdom and trying to figure out how to live a life of purpose and significance, and my life began to unravel. Everything I thought was secure wasn't. Everything I had built started to feel like it was crumbling, and everything I believed about who I was and what I was supposed to be doing with my life, well, it all got called into question. But little did I know that that unraveling was also a clearing. I wasn't just losing pieces of my life, I was making space to breathe, space to heal, space to sort through all the emotional clutter I'd been carrying for decades. The expectations I never questioned, the roles I thought I had to play, the dreams I had shelved because I believed it was too late, the dreams were too big, or simply not for someone like me. I honestly didn't know where to start. It was a tough year. You I've always been a great dreamer. I always dream. Dream big. I don't need permission to dream big. I was always a big dreamer. Big visions. I had plenty. I always would wake up inspired, imagining something bold and beautiful. And by the end of the day, I would talk myself out of it. The doubts would creep in. Well, what ifs? Or who do you think you are? Or I would take one small step forward and two steps back and then retreat the moment uncertainty would show up. I needed guidance desperately. So I turned to God and I prayed honestly, humbly, and often. I believe I still have the church bulletin somewhere, creased and coffee stained, where I scribbled down a simple but heartfelt prayer. I was desperate for direction and clarity. I asked God to give me clarity of my purpose, a vision that aligned with His will for my life. I asked Him to give me confidence, to bring it to life, to help me believe that I was capable, chosen, and equipped. I asked Him to give me the courage to face what I had been avoiding, stopped shrinking back in fear, and finally moved forward, even when I felt the path was uncertain. And I asked him to give me wisdom to discern what was truly from him and what was just noise, distraction, or conditioning I needed to release. And then I heard him say, clearly and unmistakably. And now, when people say, "Oh, God spoke to me," I'm always like, "Really? Like, how did you know?" Like, really? Like, but I knew that was him. And he said, "I already gave you all that. I already gave you all that." I'm like, "Oh, really?" Gosh, where was I? I'd been tuned out, distracted, living a life according to my plan, not his. I wasn't listening. So I asked him with complete humility, "Please repeat it for me." And God, in his infinite wisdom, didn't hand me a list of answers. No, instead, he gently revealed something else. Everything I needed was already within me, but unfortunately, it was just buried under layers of clutter. Well, I added a fifth component to this framework. I'm sorry, I changed content, first of all. I changed wisdom to content because I felt it wasn't just the wisdom he was going to give me, it's the content that we consume and the content we create or echo out. And I added commitment because dreams without commitment are just ideas entertaining our minds and never come into reality. So, commitment is the engine that keeps you moving forward when emotions fade, or the critics get loud, or the results don't come as fast as you expect. Without commitment, your clarity drifts, your confidence crumbles, your courage fades, and content loses its impact. So, as I started to heal, reflect, and rebuild, those words became pillars, anchoring not only my personal transformation, but ultimately shaping the course I didn't even know I was being called to create, the one you're stepping into now. And that moment didn't spark instant clarity, but it did mark the beginning of a new kind of journey, one of self discovery, healing, and surrender, one that invited me to let go of what wasn't mine to carry and to lean into the truth of who He created me to be. The wisdom he gave me wasn't always easy to digest. It revealed hard truths about what I was tolerating, what I was chasing, and what I needed to change. But it also revealed something more powerful, that I wasn't a dreamer anymore. I was now a dream weaver, no longer stalled at the side of the road, no longer circling the same roundabouts of fear and doubt. I've taken the wheel, tuned into divine direction, and committed to the journey, detours, pit stops, and all. I don't just dream about the destination. I prepare myself and I get clear on my dream destination. I align my vehicle, I create an itinerary, and I drive forward with purpose. And that's what I'm going to teach you. This is your invitation to rise, to ascend to the life you were created for, to stretch beyond the safety of what's familiar and to lean into the bold, beautiful unknown, to feel more deeply, not just the joy, but the ache too, because both are proof that you're truly living, to give more generously your time, your presence, your heart, not out of obligation, but from a place of overflow, to become more fully you. Not the version you've been performing, pleasing, or protecting, but the one who's been patiently waiting beneath the noise to emerge. To live with greater purpose, to create something that carries your essence, unmistakably yours, deeply impactful, impossible to replicate. To finally trust your voice, to follow the nudge, the pull, the whisper that's been calling you forward all along, even when it doesn't make sense to anybody else. And to build a legacy, not one that's just about trophies or titles, but one that reflects your values, one that leaves something in people, not just for them. This is the journey of the Dreamweaver. Okay, so let me tell you a little story. The year after my divorce, I was determined to reset my life, to dream again. So I did what every hopeful, slightly overachieving woman does. You guys have done this. Made a dream board, but not just any dream board. I went all in with a science fair project board. I don't know if you can tell, but this is like huge, the kind with two foldable sides. And let me tell you, I'm so good at dreaming big. I can visualize, manifest, and map out a whole future before breakfast. But taking action, yeah, not quite the same strength. But actually, It's not that I'm not an action taker because I am, right? I got my graduate degree, certifications, my real estate license, things that I was certain would bring me success. But you see, I was in this long term, emotionally codependent relationship with certainty. I wanted to know everything, how it would work, when it would happen, what it would cost, who would approve, what could go wrong. And I wouldn't move forward until I had all the answers. But good news is, certainty and I broke up. It was mutual, it was overdue. And just so you know, I did take action on at least one thing from that vision board. I don't know if you can see, like down there on the bottom, that's Bruno. Yep, that little French bulldog, that little squishy face started out as a cutout on my vision board, and now he sleeps in my bed. And right next to Bruno, I gotta point this out too. Right next to Bruno on the vision board, do you see that? Can y'all see that? I should have blown it up, but that's a picture of a man and a woman, and behind his back, he's got a blue Tiffany's box. And guess what? That dream came true too. Not for me, but for my friend Misty. Yeah, last Christmas, she got the blue Tiffany box. She got engaged. And I was so happy for her. And I said, I manifested that for you. It's on my vision board and it happened to her. So technically, the universe was listening. It just forwarded my dream to the wrong address. But anyway, I just thought that that was like so amazing. I need to be more specific next time. This whole experience, though, taught me something, though, about the difference between dreamers and dream weavers. And I want to ask you, which one are you? Are you a dreamer or a dream weaver? Are you ready to step out of the dream and start weaving it into reality? You see, dreamers, they stay in the safety of their imagination. They spin in inspiration, but they lack direction. They dream about someday. They have these lofty, big goals. We've done this before. I don't know how many classes I've been to where we've made goals, 5-year goals, 10-year goals, these dreamy, dreamy goals without taking action because we're stuck in uncertainty. Like, I don't know. I don't, that, not me. Dreamweavers, on the other hand, they just go for it. You hear them say things like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going for it. They act on the pull of possibility, like anything's possible, who knows? I could grow or I could fail miserably. Either way, I'm going to learn. They navigate with intention and drive. They pursue dreams purposefully, like they have a reason to move forward. And they move forward with confidence. So perhaps you've been stuck in that someday mode, or maybe you've already taken a few brave steps forward. Either way, something inside you knows this isn't the end of the road, right? This is the beginning of something powerful. We see the real estate market is shifting, and we're going to have to shift along with it. And it all starts with dreaming again, like really thinking about what is possible. So, whether you're an accomplished leader thinking about what's coming next, or a dreamer who has yet to discover your purpose, this journey is meant for both of you, or anyone searching for something meaningful, not just for their professional life either. It could also be something in your personal life. It could be a hobby, a philanthropy, a cause, or even your relationships. So, how do you actually become a dream weaver? How do you move from inspiration to implementation without getting lost in the fog of fear, distractions, and detours? Well, that's where the Dreamweaver Operating System comes in. So, before we can take off, we start with this operating system. It's just a metaphor designed to help individuals bring their dreams to life with clarity, direction, and purpose. So, it starts with you. You're the driver. You're the one behind the wheel. It's time to take that wheel and know that the journey begins with you, your mindset, your emotional intelligence, and your ability to respond and pivot and shift through life's terrain. Without a conscious driver, the journey either stalls or veers off course. Then your destination. What are you driving towards? Is it a career, a cause, a philanthropy, a hobby, your relationships? Where are you headed? You got to get vivid. You got to get clear, emotionally resonant, and aligned with your values. What's important to you? It's where you want to go and who you want to become on the way there. So you've got the dream, you got the driver, but you're going to need a vehicle to get you there, right? Your vehicle is your strategy. The vehicle symbolizes your approach, your method, your strategy. A lot of people, they are really great at dreaming up these big visions. They're action takers. They're raring to go. They have the confidence and the courage and the commitment, and they're raring to go, and they lack strategy, a plan, a way forward. It includes like your business model, the systems you put in place, the boundaries you uphold, and the resources that you use to accelerate your progress. Oops, we left out one, but that's okay. I'm going to go back because one of my slides is missing. The last one, you can see you got the driver, the destination, the vehicle. The last one is the itinerary, your plan, or that triptych. And so that's why at the end of this course, you'll have the plan, the written plan. So before you accelerate, there's a couple of other things we have to clear up, right? So we're ready to get on our journey. You're like, I'm ready to teach you all these things, but this is all kind of like prerequisites. Remember back in school when there were classes you had to take before you took the class. So this is kind of a prerequisite. Before you accelerate, you need to get honest about what's dragging you down, because if we don't address those issues, it's going to be really hard to get going on your journey. You're going to keep having this drag. Drag is what happens when like you're running at full speed with a parachute attached, right? At first you feel the rush of acceleration, but then resistance kicks in, right? Because that parachute's catching the air. The air catches the parachute, tugging hard, slowing you down and forcing you to work twice as hard to push forward and keep the pace. That's what drag does to your momentum in life and business. It's the unforeseen resistance, the things that are weighing you down. The faster you try to go, the harder it tugs. You're like, I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to work harder. I'm going to stay up later. I'm going to, whatever it is. And it just gets harder instead of easier. Because if you don't identify and release your version of the parachute, you'll burn out trying to force progress. That's why we get burnt out. That's why we want to give up. And when you cut the cords of what's weighing you down, you move forward with less effort and greater velocity. So what are the drags? Critics. Critics, those internal and external voices that question your worth and undermine your confidence. They plant seeds of doubt and keep your foot hovering over the brake. And sometimes those critics, they're you, right? Sometimes you're your worst critic, right? The chaos, all the emotional noise, the mental clutter, the constant distractions. It's like driving through a storm with the radio blaring, your texts pinging, and no idea which lane you're in. Just chaos all around you. It's hard to focus. You've got choices that you've made. These are past decisions that no longer align with where you're going. I mean, well, we're a different person today than when we started real estate. Dawn can attest to that. We started with a vision, and those choices that we made day one of real estate no longer align with where we're going, because we've learned so much in the process. But these choices, they're hanging around like outdated GPS routes. Well, there was a time when I was going to have a team, that didn't align with who I really wanted to be and what I really wanted to do. So these past choices, they hang around like an outdated GPS, recalculating, redirecting, and confusing your next move. You keep thinking you gotta hold on to this choice when really you just have to let go if it doesn't align. The clutter. These are outdated beliefs, things that you believe about yourself and what you're capable of, excess input, habits that you haven't questioned for a while, things that you just do out of habit because this is how it's done. It's time to clear that. These take up valuable dashboard space and fog up the windshield of clarity. Conditioning, all that old programming, messages passed down, picked up, or absorbed that quietly limit how you see yourself and what you think you're allowed to become. And constraints. These are all the obligations and your environment, all the unspoken expectations that restrict your energy and capacity to pursue what really matters. They may not stop you outright, but they quietly drain your drive. You've overcommitted. They add friction and they slow down your progress, making every step forward feel heavier than it should. So some of these drags will need to be cleared completely, some released, others simply noticed because we can't do anything about them. We just have to notice it, acknowledge it, and put it back in the proper seat. Don't let it take over because the road ahead requires your full attention. And you can't drive into your destiny while stuck in the clutter of your conditioning. You guys, I swear I'm constantly developing this class, but it was actually this morning I started thinking about, clearing the clutter. There's also cleansing. You really have to cleanse, like wash it down, right? You really got, cleanse it, really like release it, let it go, and then add other things in its place that are going to drive you forward. So now you've cleared the clutter. You're ready, right? You're like, okay, we're ready. I get it. We got a destination. We got a strategy. We've cleared the clutter. We're ready, right? Now, not so fast. Hold on. A couple more things. You've cleared the clutter. You've dealt with the critics. You've quieted the chaos. You made some new choices. You reprogrammed some old conditioning. You feel lighter, clearer, maybe even free. The sunroof is open. You know that feeling when you're like, yes, this new enthusiasm and momentum. Like the sunroof is open, your favorite song is playing, the wind is in your hair. You think you're finally alone in the car on the way to your journey, just you on the open road. But then you notice something. You're not alone. You've got passengers. Yep. And some of them, they're amazing travel companions. Love sits up front, offering warmth and connection. Joy sticks her head out the window, laughing at the wind. Excitement is bouncing up and down in the back seat, overflowing with ideas and pointing out every cool thing along the way. They're the ones cheering you on, making the ride feel magical. You can probably think of some people that make your journey just seem like amazing, like anything is possible. You always want them along for the ride. But then tucked in right beside them, sometimes even sharing the same seat, are some rowdier, more complicated companions. Doubt. Yeah, doubt keeps second guessing the directions. Are you sure? Are you sure this is the right way? Worry nags about every what if and worst case scenario. And fear is like clutching the door handle, bracing for disaster that hasn't even happened. They aren't bad. They're just loud. And they don't always trust you behind the wheel. And here's the thing. They're coming along for the ride. The joyful ones and the ones that make you want to pull over and rethink everything. And no, you can't leave them at the 7-Eleven after you fuel up. You can't stuff them in the trunk. You can't duct tape their mouths shut or hand them a tablet and hope they stay quiet. They're in the car with you, and sometimes they're loud. Like a bunch of kids in the back seat arguing about snacks and are we there yet? You know what I'm talking about. Every 2 miles, throwing goldfish crackers at your head while you're trying to merge onto the highway. Yeah. But here's the thing. Remember, you are the driver. You get to decide how this goes. You can pull over, take a breath, and give those passengers a bit of a pep talk or a firm, loving boundary. You can say things like, hey, fear, yeah, I know why you're here. I know you're trying to protect me, but I've got this. You see, you don't have to silence them, but you do need to let them know you're in charge now. Acknowledge them, appreciate the message, and then say, I hear you, but I'm going to trust me on this one. And when they keep whispering, well, just turn up the radio, roll the windows down, roll the windows down. We don't roll windows down anymore. You know what I'm talking about. And keep driving because you're the driver and you've got somewhere important to be. But now here's a little strategy for gaining control of those emotions. Okay. Pause. You don't have to respond right away. Someone says something, someone does something to invoke fear or doubt or worry, just pause for a minute. This is the moment of awareness. Instead of reacting immediately to a trigger, an emotion, a comment, a situation, stop. Just stop. Just for a beat. That pause creates space between stimulus and response. It interrupts the automatic reactions and gives you a chance to reset. It's like putting the car in neutral before switching gears. You stop the momentum just long enough to choose the next right direction. Okay, so you've paused, and now before taking any action, before responding, process it a minute, all right? This is where you notice what's happening inside. What are you feeling? Like, where's this fear coming from? Maybe it's a warning. It's there to tell you something. What do you feel? What are your thoughts racing through your mind? You're not judging, fixing, or avoiding that emotion. You're just observing and naming what's present. So think of scanning your dashboard, checking your engine lights and your fuel level and your speed before deciding how to move. So you're just kind of processing for a minute. Then ask yourself, well, what does this mean? Is this emotion accurate? I mean, is that true? Or is it helpful? I mean, sometimes fear, doubt, and worry, they have a place. They shouldn't stop you, but they may cause you to slow down. Um, is this based on truth or assumption? This step helps you separate fact from feeling and uncover the story you've been telling yourself. And quite frankly, it's probably time for a new story. So it's like adjusting your GPS. You might realize you're heading in the wrong direction because your internal map is outdated or misread. So now you're ready to respond. Finally, you take intentional action. Instead of reacting from a place of emotion or programming, this is how you've always responded, you choose how to respond in alignment with your values, goals, and current reality. Now you shift back into gear and drive with purpose, steering your actions and letting your emotions take and not letting your emotions take the wheel. It reminded me as I was putting this together of if anybody's read Man's Search for Meaning. Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor, a neurologist and psychiatrist, and his experience in the Nazi concentration camps shaped his belief that meaning, not comfort, is the key to resilience. And he said the power is in the pause between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space is our power to choose how to respond. And he says, does this ever happen to you where you just want to respond and then you stop for a minute and you're like, I'm not going there. I'm not going there. And you choose a different response and you remain in control. Otherwise, your emotions can sometimes get the best of you. Now, all this, you can see the framework here, the journey. All this would not be possible without the help of a pit crew, right? Somebody that's going to help you along the way. Because, yeah, unfortunately, there will be times when you are in the pits, right? You're stalled on the side of the road, or you just need to refuel. And sometimes you're going to need the help of others. That could be a mentor. A mentor is someone that offers wisdom from a road they already traveled. They're going to tell you, here's how to do it. Here's what I've done. This is my experience. And they're going to give you guidance because they've been there. A coach, on the other hand, helps you pull out your own. Well, what's important to you? And how, what is the outcome that you're looking for? A coach helps you access your own inner GPS, helps you self-discover. And then a therapist might be necessary. They'll help you process what's in the rear view. Sometimes there are things that, past traumas or really ingrained programming that needs the help of a therapist. And so here's what happens. A lot of times we need all three. And a lot of times we think our friends are those people, I know I do. I'm always like, help. And we can't always rely on our friends because they got their own lives to lead too. And as much as they love you, they may not be equipped with the right answers. They might not know exactly how to help. And so it's really good on your journey to find, and nowadays, it's not like you have to pay for all these people either. You can find coaches and mentors and therapists um, along the way. So the journey to your dream starts with one powerful decision. You don't have to have it all figured out yet, right? You just need to take the first step. You have to be willing to prepare the driver for the journey, right? Getting really clear on the destination and start working on your strategy. And so that's why this first step is my gift to you. This module 1 of Dreamweaver is my gift to you. It's to help you emotionally prepare to take the wheel of your life. But there's more. Modules 2 through 6, we shift into gear, the heart of the Dreamweaver program. It is where you gain traction by cultivating the 5 inner forces that fuel momentum. We talked about these earlier. They're clarity, confidence, courage, content, and commitment. And I take you through this framework, the gear framework, starting with module 2. We just generate awareness. This is where we learn what is clarity and why do I need it, and what are the benefits, confidence, courage, content, commitment. It's just starting to gain awareness. That's all module 1 is how to be completely aware. You go through life, and you guys, I do this all the time now. Like, I can tell when something is not, when I'm in the wrong environment. Like, this is not good for my confidence. I need to steer clear of this environment. Or it could be something as watching the news, or whatever it may be. It's just simply having awareness of what's going on inside you when you are, what's happening to your confidence, courage, content, commitment, clarity, in different environments. So it's just taking notice. In module 3, we begin to evaluate our choices, right? Because now you're aware, you have clarity, you have a vision. You have clarity of where you want to go. Now in module 3, you'll start to define, determine, defeat, discern, and devote. This is where you um, decide what your mission, vision, values are, what your big why is, and you start evaluating the choices. Who's going to be in your circle, who's coming along for the ride, and who needs to stay far, far behind. You can love them from afar. So it's all about making choices, evaluating your choices, and not just letting. I remember when my ex got out of the military, and I said, we're moving to Austin. We ended up in New Braunfels, but we're moving to Austin. And we made the decision, because had we not made a decision of where we wanted to go, we would have went wherever he found a job. And I didn't want the job to dictate where I went. So I wanted us to evaluate our choices so that we wouldn't make the wrong one. We wanted to be near family, and we wanted to be in Texas. And so then module 4 is when you're actually taking action, and you're thinking, well, gosh, it's going to take a while then before I get into action, and I've got this dream, and I'm not. No, these modules don't have to go in this particular order. You could start taking action right away, and then clarity will build. Right? So you don't have to have everything figured out before taking action. These don't, in real estate, when you're mapping out the properties, and then one seller will say, oh, we can't see you till 2 o'clock, and you have to rearrange all. It's kind of like that. You can rearrange the waypoints. I call these waypoints. So you could rearrange all those as needed. Sometimes you might have an opportunity and you need to take action right away. But the concepts still pertain. Like, the order doesn't matter, but the concepts are important. In the activate phase, we learned about planning and preparing and tracking our progress, about the 2 things that I have determined are the first things that go when we're big action takers and we're well on our journey. The 2 things that suffer are relationships and our health. So that's in the action phase, because while you're taking action, you got to make sure that you're paying attention to your relationships and your health. And sometimes that involves creating new boundaries, and determining who gets to come along and who gets to stay behind. And the last one, recalibrate, is where you rest. Guys, we don't give enough value to rest. There are days when I'm kind of in that pit stop, and I beat myself up like, oh, I need to get up and I need to, oh, I'm so far behind or I'm not. No, that rest is just as important and just as vital to you achieving your goals as the action phase was. It's important because during that rest time, you create new energy. Um, and then the very last module, module 6, is the triptych, where we put it all together and have this plan for your journey. And so that is the rest of the course. Now, here's the deal. This is all beta, right? I've just launched this, and I'm learning as I go. As far as like the program is written, all the, everything is ready to go. But as far as the delivery, I'm learning as I go. And here's what I've learned. I've learned like you got to be willing to pivot. And here's what I've learned is that the summer is a really bad time to launch a course. And so what I'm doing is like this first module is free. I'm also creating a Facebook group where I'm going to go have some engaging activities and things going on. And then the rest of the course, these modules 2 through 6, will actually start late August after the kids go back to school, or probably early September, because I don't want to compete with summer activities. And so I decided, but I will have the Facebook group, so I would love for you guys. I will send you an invite. I'm tweaking it right now because it was called Penny Pearboom Coaching, and now the Facebook group is going to be called the Rise Up Collaborative, and it's going to be a space where we can share and dream together and rise up together. And so I'm excited about that. So I want to leave you with this. You weren't made to stay parked in your potential. You were made to move forward with clarity in your vision, confidence in your voice, and conviction in your choices. The road ahead doesn't demand perfection, it demands your presence. It calls you to show up, not when it's convenient, but when it's real. And not someday, but today. And remember, you don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to be ready to move forward. This is your invitation to rise, not to chase a dream, but to take the wheel and drive it forward, one intentional aligned mile at a time. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for joining. I would love to, I know I kind of whizzed through it and wasn't very interactive because I just had so much to say, but I'd like to hear your thoughts. Where you're at, if y'all would share.
Would you stop
Where
sharing your
Oh,
screen, please, so
yes,
that we can
yes,
all see each other? Thank
yes.
you.
I would love to know, how do you stop?
And I'm going to stop recording so that we can
Oh,
be
stop sharing. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.